Good morning, everybody. This is Patrick McTighe again, managing broker of the Coldwell Banker downtown office here in Boise. So I wanted to finish the series and discussions about non-refundable earnest money. So today we're going to talk about two issues that I see as potential, and that is when our purchase and sale agreements with non-refundable earnest money could be construed upon some type of a conflict in the courts as becoming one of two instruments, one being an option agreement and the other being a land sale contract, or better known as a contract for deed. First, let me talk a little bit about that 95% of the time, all of our deals go very smoothly. So this isn't to scare you into thinking that the world is crumbling down on your business and this is going to happen on a regular basis. However, I do want you to be aware of all the pitfalls and the things and how we can make sure that we just stay ahead of the curve so that we don't have any issues should we fall into one of the 5% that don't work very well. Okay, so as we discussed before, there are reasons that we want to not have non-refundable earnest money. What we want to have are non-refundable deposits for a specific purpose. So let's talk about the first pitfall, and that would be if a court were to construe our purchase and sale agreement with non-refundable earnest money as an option agreement. So let me just define an option agreement for you, and that's an agreement between two parties that provides one of the parties the right but not the obligation to buy, sell, or obtain a specific asset at an agreed upon price at a time in the future. Okay, let's think about that. That sounds sort of like a purchase and sale agreement with a non-refundable earnest money. You're paying an option and you have the right but not the obligation to close. This is specifically true if we're dealing with some contingencies where the buyer has the ability to back out of the contract. Okay, so you can see how that could be construed as an option. Well, what's the problem with an option agreement, you say? The problem is that it's a specific contract that we as real estate agents do not have a form that we can fill in the blanks. Therefore, if it's construed that we have an option agreement, it could be construed that we practice law without a license, and that we don't want to do. Okay, the next category is there's been some case law on both of these where the courts have deemed that purchase and sale agreements with earnest money have been turned into one of these two instruments. Second one is what we call a land sale contract or a contract for deed. You might recognize it as that name. And the definition of a land sale contract is an agreement between the buyer and the seller of a property in which the buyer makes payments, installment payments maybe, and possibly a down payment. And they have the right to the property. They have the right of possession to the property, but they don't have the deed to the property. The deed stays with the seller until that land sale contract is paid in full. Where the courts see this as happening is particularly if you have more than 1 or 2% of the purchase price in earnest money and it's deemed non-refundable. That could easily be construed as a down payment. Then there might be additional non-refundable earnest money on new construction, possibly after the plans and specs are created, or an existing real estate or existing home, possibly to take the home off the market after your lender letter has been approved by the seller. Okay, these could be deemed as installment payments. Then at the end of the contract, when the buyer takes out a mortgage, that could be construed as the final payment or the balloon payment, so to speak. So what's the problem with a land sale contract? Well, the problem is when we get to court and the court deems that a purchase and sale agreement has turned into a land sale contract, you can see some of the problems that evolve around that is that it's actually a consummated contract where the buyer is now in full possession and all rights to the property, but the seller holds title to it. The seller in those instances can deem on a default to just collect and keep all the monies paid for without any judicial foreclosure, and just take the property back. And that potentially could leave our buyer in some unpleasant situations, depending on how the contract went. So how do we fix this? And again, very simple. When you're having non-refundable earnest money, let's make sure our contract state that the earnest money will be converted to a non-refundable deposit for the purpose of X, whatever that purpose might be it plans and specs, be it taking it off the market, being whatever reason it is, it has to be for a specific purpose. So again, if you have more questions on this, make sure you give me a call, email me, stop into the office. I'm available all the time for you, and we can discuss your specific needs in more detail. Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you next week, hopefully with a whole new topic. And don't forget to stop by our Agent Roundtable. We have decided to keep the Agent Roundtable at the Emerald office, admin building, so that it's easier for all agents to get there. And we discuss lots of things that are pertinent to whatever your business needs are for the week. Okay, talk to you later. Have a good weekend. Bye.